I'm showing this game because a lot of players don't handle kingside attacks well. And I'm going to show you what I mean by this. This game comes from 2013. It's a game I played over the board. It was a FIDE and USCF rated game. So we had 2 hours or 2.5 hours on each side of the board to play. So it's a very accurate game because we had time. And in this game, I was playing an expert. He was over 2,000. I played him a bunch of times. And after knight f6 here and knight c3, I played bishop b4. I don't play that anymore because after e5, things get complicated after knight d5, queen g4, and things start getting messy already. So now instead of bishop b4, I don't recommend this. I recommend just playing knight c6, which also goes into a forced variation, you must know, or just playing a6 is fine too. It's very simple. Anyway, I played bishop d4 here. My opponent played bishop d3, knight c6. Okay, we're just developing here. After castles, I played d5. This looks dangerous, and it could be because after e5, knight d7. Okay, I almost always, after this e5 attack on my knight, I almost always move back to d7 where it attacks and also is lined up in the center. Now, a lot of players, not a lot of players, but some players will try to come onto the wing and get their knight trapped or even taken in this position, and that's not good. Anyway, my opponent played queen g4 here, obviously attacking g7. If I castle into this, which is not good because I have to stop the checkmate, and then I am going to lose my bishop. So that's not good. Okay, so here, for that reason, after queen g4, I played the only move. I played bishop f8. It's a very cool, calm, collected move, and I'm completely fine here. And in fact, I left the evaluation bar on the side of the board, so you believe me, I'm fine here. Okay, so the thing is, though, I have to castle eventually. Now my opponent sees that it's going to take me time to castle, and those 3 moves, 1, 2, 3, it takes for me to castle, he's going to launch a kingside attack. Okay, no problem. I play g6. Okay, I play g6 because it's the only thing I can do. I have to stop this attack, get my bishop in here, fianchetto it, and castle. My opponent plays king h1, another calm move, getting off the open diagonal because that could bite him in the butt later. I play bishop g7, like I mentioned, and I castle. So now I'm castled, I'm safe, the game is even. Now what happens here? My opponent plays rook e1, and I play rook e8. Okay, so far so good. But here is where my opponent starts thinking of the kingside attack. He plays bishop f2. Now, what's the point of bishop f2? Well, bishop f2, he's going to try to swing his bishop around, hit my queen, right? So let's say I just play a random move. He hits my queen. I move my queen. Now he's going to wedge his bishop at some point in here possibly and try to undermine the dark squares, maybe try to sacrifice eventually, get his knight in here if he can, all sorts of stuff. He has his rooks into the game. It could be scary for some people. However, what we want to do when our opponent's attacking on the king side or even thinking about attacking on the king side is taking the attention away from the king side, not playing preparatory moves on the king side, not making pawn moves, but actually playing on the other side of the board, the queen side. And in fact, we always want to play on the side of the board where we have the advantage and have more space. How do we know where we have more space? Well, our pawns are pointing in the direction where we have more space. My pawn chain is pointing towards the queen side, and I have also another pawn here. So my spatial advantage is on the queen side. I also have an open file for my rook. So I simply just start attacking on the queen side. Here I played queen a5. My opponent played bishop h4, and I played rook b8. So when my opponent played bishop h4, notice how I didn't move my bishop around and try to counter it and just start, trying to defend the king side. There's no attack here yet, so I just concentrated on what I have. I have a pawn here, and not only do I have a pawn here, if this pawn goes, this knight's attacked, and this pawn's attacked. So my opponent actually had to play rook b1 here. That's actually the best move, just to protect the pawn. Notice he can't play this because he'll lose the knight. So he just protected his pawn. And here I played bishop a6. Another common idea. My bishop is not going anywhere anytime soon. And my opponent's bishop's pretty good because it's aimed at the king side. So bishop h6 or a6, it forces an exchange of bishops because if he moves out of the way, which he can't even move out of the way here, but let's say he could, the rook's behind his bishop. So my opponent just played a6 here, a3, and I just exchanged the bishops and damaged my opponent's pawn structure slightly, but he can play d4 and consolidate and keep all his pawns together. So here I just took that space left behind. This is why the pawns want to be close to each other, because when they're not, now all these openings start to arise. So now my rook, I embedded my rook on the b3, and now I start doubling down and just putting all my forces on the queen side. I double the rooks on the queen side, and now after my opponent plays queen c2, just to give my rook some pressure here, I actually play bishop f8. Now, why did I play bishop f8? Well, this game took place in 2013, but I remember pretty well, and I can tell you just from being a chess player that my bishop here is hitting a wall. My bishop here would be hitting a wall. So I just simply found the open diagonal for my bishop. Also, now I'm applying more pressure to the queen side, the part of the board where I have the advantage. Notice how just by playing on the queen side, the place where I have the advantage, I killed my opponent's king side attack because he had to take his forces from the king side and put them all the way to the queen side. This rook came over here. His queen came all the way back here. That was over here. So I'm starting, and you're going to see that his bishop actually comes back here. So I actually dictate where the game is being played just by playing where I have the advantage. As you see, my opponent now moves his bishop back to e1. Here I played queen a6. My point here, not really sure exactly, maybe just putting pressure on this pawn. But after this move, rook f3, I guess he was concerned about that. I simply just played queen b7, and now my opponent's in a little bit of trouble. Also, another thing to take away from this game, the power of Alyakin's gun. Alyakin's gun is a rook followed up with a queen and a rook, sandwiched in between the two rooks. This is a very, very powerful strategic concept, and I'm going to show you why it's so powerful. Now, what's happening here? I'm attacking this pawn, so I'm going to win a pawn here. So if white plays a random move, I just win a pawn. So that's not good for white. However, I also have another attack. I'm also threatening to win, let's say if white defends what white did. White defended the pawn here. However, I had a double attack here. Pause your videos and see what I played here. I played bishop takes a3. Now, the point is, he should, at this point, not take and go into this position because I'm up a pawn now. He should play like knight d1 and just try to hold down the position. I'm still winning, but he should try to do that. Instead, he went into the variation. So he's losing a pawn here, and now I get the rook, I take the knight, and when he takes back, I take his queen. Now, the reason why I went into this was not just because I win a pawn, that's great, but more importantly, I knew I was winning here because I'm hitting his bishop and he has back rank weaknesses. Now he has to defend the bishop. So there's two ways to defend it. He has rook f1 or rook e2. He should play rook f1, it's slightly better. Still losing, but he played rook e2, which is losing on the spot. Now, try to pause your videos and try to see what you'd play here. Try to imagine yourself playing an over-the-board chess game. You're on the verge of victory, and you want to win, obviously. This is FIDE rated. You are playing against a strong player. So it's pretty obvious it's not a hard move to find, but it's extremely powerful. It's more powerful than it looks. I simply played knight c5. Now, yes, I'm attacking a pawn. That's true, but really I'm attacking a square. I don't really care about the pawn. I care about piling on this pinned bishop. So my threat is to put a knight here, attack the bishop twice, and win another piece. If he tries to make Luft for himself, which is air, if he tries to, relieve the back rank, I would just simply take. I'm attacking this bishop twice. He can't move it because he's pinned, so that's disastrous. And if he plays, the only move that kind of defends this square is rook e3, but then I would simply just take the pawn here, and he cannot take back because he'll get checkmated. So after knight c5, my opponent resigned in this position. So there you have it. When your opponents are launching a kingside attack, try to keep in mind, unless you absolutely have to, if you have to defend a specific threat, of course, you want to definitely do that. But in the abstract in general, you want to play on the side of the board that you have a strength on, where you have space on, and you want to distract your opponent from the king side by not playing on the king side yourself, but because that will speed up his attack, you want to play on the opposite side of the board or in the center if you can. And if you like this video, check out this video up here or up here, wherever I put it. If you want to see another video that is also very instructive. And thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you guys next time. Go play some chess.